We're going to get started here with our meeting of the Plan Commission, our meeting of September 9th, 2024. Roll call, please.
Get the recorder turned on. Hollenbeck.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
McNally.
Here.
Millsap.
Here.
Gronimus.
Here.
We do have Chuck Franklin on the phone. Unfortunately, our sound system wasn't working, but he is on the phone here, and we do have one vacancy. We had Tara Maholsky recently resigned from Plan Commission.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Proof of posting, Lisa?
The agenda was posted in the upper and lower levels of the Amundsen Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, the village website, Badger Bank. It was also mailed to neighboring property owners and published in the Cambridge News.
Okay. All right. Good to go. We're going to get started here with a public hearing for a rezone request for a property that's located at Drumlin Trail, Lot 2. This was submitted by MRKR Properties, and Mr. Rumpf will be speaking later. But we're going to have the public comments now, the public hearing, correct, Lisa?
Yep.
Okay, so there are, I think, half a dozen of you who have already signed up. If you see these, please just fill it out and get it to Lisa. I'm going to start off with Tim Frouts and Kathy Frouts at Chardonnay Court.
No, we said no.
Okay, that's all right. I've got your, I didn't know if you wanted to talk. Okay, the next one would be Kathy Jurgis at 618 Woodhaven Court. And we're going to try to, limit comments, maybe 2-3 minutes. Lisa, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
3 minutes. Is that okay? Everybody?
Want to do it on their
3.
phone.
Okay, 3 minutes. Kathy.
Good evening. There's going to be other people here tonight who are going to talk about the concerns with this apartment regarding traffic, safety of children walking in the neighborhood, the adjacency to homes. But I want to challenge the Planning Commission to think about the long-term needs of our community. Housing is definitely a need in Cambridge, but is another 20-unit apartment building similar to what we have going to fill the needs of our community? A few questions I'd like you to consider. Are the residents of these apartments and the existing apartments invested in Cambridge? Did they graduate from here? Do they have children in the school district? Do they work in town, shop in town, volunteer in town? Are there opportunities for them to buy houses here once they're ready to move out of their apartment? Is the home ownership cycle complete in Cambridge? Is housing affordable for recent high school graduates? I'm going to tell you it's not, because I have one. First-time home buyer options, are those available in town? Duplexes, fourplexes, people who would like to own a home and get out of the renting cycle. Do we have those available in Cambridge? Small homes for empty nesters like myself. We have a large home up in Woodhaven. I'm ready to move. I don't want to leave Cambridge. There's nowhere for me to move. There's no small housing available in town. Our village is becoming landlocked. We know that from other issues in town. We need to make sure we're taking care of the current and future needs of our community, not necessarily serving the needs of people in Madison, who is a large majority of who's living in those apartments over there. And as a reminder, an apartment project was brought before this commission just a few short years ago for the lot across the street from this proposed project. That project was turned down for many of the reasons which would hold true for this same situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathy. Next up, if you would like to speak, Matt. Okay. And you reside at 618 Drumlin Trail?
That's correct.
Okay.
So my wife and I, we are the house directly adjacent to this proposal. Obviously, as a home owner right there, it's a very emotional issue. I won't try to go into that. My wife could do that, but I think it's probably pretty clear to everybody how we would all feel knowing that what we're proposing here. As mentioned, the infrastructure is not in place. Already we've seen, since we've lived in this house, two 20-unit apartments go in, and Drumlin Trail is now a thoroughfare for those apartments to get downtown. Anybody who lives in that neighborhood, we all go that way, because it makes no sense to try to go left across Highway 12 there, right? So there's no sidewalks. People are going to be, not everybody has vehicles. You know, many times people in apartments, they don't have vehicles. They need to walk to the grocery store, so they're walking in the street. That's not safe. There's a lot of people who drive up and down that street on the wrong side of the road unsafely and quickly. It's already a problem. In fact, this year we are trying to force a bus stop change because of our concern about our kids having to walk up the street to their bus stop because of how bad it is. Second, per the plan, well, so if you're familiar with this property and where mine is, there's another property or another apartment that went in recently in the village, sorry, the vineyards. So the parking lot is directly adjacent to that. So we now have 2 luminaires, 2 street lights, and a floodlight that completely light up my backyard. It's got to, I should probably have an inspector look at it. It's so darn bright. It's absurd. So that's been built. That's already lighting up my backyard. It's light pollution. Every car that comes and goes from that apartment shines into my big windows in the back of my house. So we've already kind of dealt with this as part of our, the community's plan to grow. The current plan, as this sits, would, and the way I've looked at it, I have some background in construction management, so I understand these things, but it appears to be planned kind of the only way you can. But the way the parking lot is planned, now I've got 2 more light poles that are going to be lighting up my backyard, and the way the cars are going to access from the Kenseth Drive there are going to be facing right into my house. Anybody coming in at night. So that's obviously a huge concern. Second, the setback 12.5 feet with plus a little bit. Yeah, okay. I guess third point I lost. I should have kept notes, but we are concerned about child trafficking in this world, this country, everywhere. This puts yet another lot in a predator's ability, whether it's a resident or a friend or anybody else, to just simply snatch and grab our children. We have 3 little girls directly from our yard. And it's not fair to say that apartments bring predators, but I've lived in apartments my whole life. And not saying everybody's bad, of course, that's not the case. But it presents opportunity. And that's exactly what we bought this house to kind of prevent. So it's my understanding that this is a recommendation for the council for a vote. Okay, so I appreciate everybody's duty here, and I appreciate you hearing me, and I understand the responsibility and what you're all charged to do as part of this commission. But please keep in mind who you're affecting, because this is a life-changing event for my family.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next one, Andrea. Andrea Masadi. Andrea, if you could give us your address, please.
Sure, it's 705 Merlot Lane. I live in the Vineyards, and I'm going to give a little bit of a different perspective than the homeowners in Woodlands, or Woodhaven. So right now, the only way out of our subdivision is out of Kenseth Drive. And we could go through Drumlin and go through that way. However, there's a safety issue, there's a speed issue, there's a courtesy issue about having to drive through somebody's neighborhood. So right now, the only way we have in and out of our subdivision is out of Kenseth onto 1218. They're building, and I'm not sure when they're going to be done, there are going to be another additional 48 apartments that are being built right by the first apartment building. There's also the new condos being built, so you're adding all that traffic. There's now traffic more so because of the Pizza Pit and Mud Java. The traffic has gotten so bad that in the mornings, at rush hour, you could wait at that corner for 15, 20 minutes. The other thing I'm not sure about was you had mentioned that notice was mailed out. I don't know what the parameter or feet for notices that were mailed out, but most of us found out this hearing was being held by Facebook. So I don't know if there was a specific feet that had to be noticed?
It is set by state statute. It's 200 feet from within the
Okay.
property.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine, and I think I'm a little bit further. But my main concern is, pardon?
Only one house got a notice.
Our main concern, and I know my husband's main concern and some other homeowners in the vineyards who are not here tonight, is the traffic issue and is the safety issue. And there will be more traffic, more kids, more safety. There are no, as far as I understand, there are no sidewalks on Drumlin Trail, so there's going to be just a lot more traffic. And I know eventually they were going to put that exit onto 1218 on the other side of the new apartments. Whether or not that's actually ever going to happen. Okay, so I really hope that the board looks at this other than from the homeowner's perspective, because it's going to be affecting a lot of people that are living in Woodhaven and the vineyards, and it's like they said, the other apartments on the other side a few years ago were turned down because of the traffic issue, and that was before these other two sets of apartments that were already going in. So I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, I have another person who registered, Blake. Where are you? There you are. You want to give your address, Blake?
Blake Salmberger, 711 Kenseth Way, also here representing the Vineyards HOA and proxy for neighbors at 715 Kenseth Way, Greg and Sandy Jankowski, who also wanted me to share some remarks while they're on vacation this week. Echoing many of the concerns here, it's quite unanimous in all of our conversations, both as neighbors as well as Vineyards HOA representatives, that this is unanimously against this consideration for a lot of the things that we just heard. The one inlet and outlet through Kenseth Way for the already existing individual lots and high-density lots is already not up to code because we don't have the outbound to 134 or to the westbound corridor to 1218, which was part of the initial master plan for the approved vineyards. So adding additional high density would be further exacerbating that issue. So this is premature, quite frankly, either way. Also, high-density zoning for all the floodlights that go into backyards and things of that nature, there's a reason why the zoning was what it was, is that high density just doesn't make sense for that lot, and we would ask you, for those of us who purchased under the single home density or zoning requirements, that we help keep that consistent for the people who have made the investment to be here in this community and spend our dollars and taxes in this community. Last but not least, we also have to consider that because of the land constraints around Cambridge, that this will, that area with the pizza pit, with the Cambridge winery, Frank Peregrino, the people who have made investments in this community, beautification of the vineyards, lining and adorning our walkways. These are people who have made investments in the community. Don't want to forget Nick Moss, who has that beautiful distillery there. This is the front door to Cambridge, Wisconsin, and let's continue to make it a beautiful front door for people who want to come here, spend their weekends here on our beautiful Main Street, who want to see a growing community as outbound Madison residents start to move this direction and want to create roots here. Let's also consider lessons learned like Fitchburg. Their two main corridors, McKee Road and Fish Hatchery, are lined with dilapidated, unmaintained, high-density housing, and that's what eventually this is going to turn into if we continue to go down this route and jamming all these apartments into the beautiful front door that is Cambridge, Wisconsin. So please, I implore you not to approve this zoning request, because the zoning was there for a reason and we chose not to do it high density because it just doesn't make sense. So appreciate your time.
Thank you, Blake. Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this time, even if you haven't submitted one of these? We'll call on you before we close. Okay. You can come up, sir, and identify yourself and give us your address.
I live on Woodhaven. I think one thing that needs to be looked at is the growth plan that Cambridge put into place 15, 20 years ago. And it was put into place to limit the high-density places. That lot's zoned the way it's zoned. The people purchased homes in this whole area based upon what we've read, what the zoning is for that. And to change it now affects all these people in the vineyards and also Woodhaven, Glacier, Drumlin. by changing it to a high density like that, which I think is incorrect to do, and I think it should be voted against. It's not just that, it's the number of parking spots. If you have 20 units coming in, it's 2 to 3 rooms or bedrooms per unit. You're probably looking at probably 120 vehicles there. And then they're going to start getting parked on the street. It's going to look terrible. So it's not what the people of this area purchase their homes for, to go to a high-density housing on that corner right there. So I think you need to look at the plan that was put together years ago that the Planning Commission approved for the growth of Cambridge. And the high density is not on that to be included for it. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Rob. Is there anybody else that would like to speak before we close this portion of our Planning Commission meeting? Ma'am.
Toby Bolt, 705 Vineyard Drive. I will just make a quick comment, just re-emphasizing the idea that those of us who purchased homes in this area saw the plot plan, knew the plot plan, were aware of the apartments that are going up on the west side of town, aware of the condos, aware of the construction. However, this area was not designated as high density. And so I would encourage the commission and again implore you, like the other homeowners, to please stick with the plan that we all agreed to, that was made with the growth interests of Cambridge in mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Toby. I'll ask again. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Come on up.
Erin Berry, 700 Merlot Lane. I wasn't planning to speak. I just want to echo what Blake said about a lesson learned from Fitchburg with putting these high density types of units. I work for a builder in Madison where we sell in multiple communities, and I just want to provide some factual data that when that's the case in a neighborhood, the property value is lowered at least $100,000. You've got a pretty substantial tax base between Vineyards and Woodhaven that I feel like we'd be forced to leave, and I don't know what it would do to the community.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close this portion of the meeting one last time. Okay.
A motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn public hearing, please. Anybody?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we got you, Chuck. Hi, Chuck, can you hear us okay?
Huh?
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you guys fine. Thanks.
Great.
All right, okay. All right, now we're going to bounce back to our agenda, and we'll ask for a, we're going to call this portion of the meeting our actual Plan Commission. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Here.
McNally.
Here.
Millsap.
Here.
Gronemus.
Here.
Hollenbeck.
Here.
Franklin.
Here.
Okay, all right. Proof of posting, again.
And the agenda was posted upper lower levels of the Amundsen Community Center, the Cambridge Post Office, Badger Bank, the village website.
Okay. All right. Item 3, approving the minutes from the Plan Commission of August 12th. Anybody?
I move to approve those minutes.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Dean's got the second. Discussion, questions, observations, concerns.
I think that was our quickest meeting.
Yeah. I think it was. Okay. All those in favor of approval of the minutes from our Plan Commission meeting of August 12th, 2024, please signify by saying or affirming this with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carries unanimously. Okay, public appearances. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Now, we have other things that you could talk about. Is there anybody else that has anything that they would like to bring to the attention of the Planning Commission? We'll get to you in a moment here, Mike. All right. Just, okay, ma'am, did you have something? You raised your hand, I don't know. Okay, all right. Okay, now we're going to go on to item 5, and that is new business, discussion and possible action regarding a rezone request for a property that is owned here by MRKR Properties, and Mike Rumpf is the agent. You want to come up, Mike?
I don't know if I'm the lucky agent or the bad agent. But I'm the agent. And with me is Neil Pfaff. He's with Veerbecker and Associates. He's an engineer.
Neil, before you start, can we have Neil over here, just because we want to see this, but I think the audience might want to see it as well. So if you could just get a chair, and, you know.
Tip it up on that.
Yeah. And then during, you know, somewhere we can show the audience what this looks like, and we can see it. I guess you just get
Actually,
to flip the board.
Maybe back a little bit too, so the
Kinda
camera
angle it
can.
towards all of us, if you
Yep.
can.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Yep.
yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'm the agent for MRKR Properties. The property was developed back in 2005, known as Matt's Plat of the Village of Cambridge. Lot 8 in the plat was originally reserved for commercial purposes, except lots 1, 7, and 8 may include residential or multifamily construction. As time went on, Matt provided for a house for his father and created a certified survey map, a 2-lot certified survey. Lot 1 is where this gentleman who spoke earlier resides. Lot 2 is the remnant parcel. Through that process, it was zoned single family or residential low density. Mr.
Mike, what year was that it was rezoned, do you remember?
2008.
It's in your packet, I believe 2008, was it, the CSM?
On
I
the
have the
front
certified
page
survey
of
map
that, yeah.
here.
Okay.
I kind of did
Oh,
it.
you've got the
timeline very
timeline.
similar
You've got the
to what
timeline.
Mike
Okay,
is,
thank you.
Yeah, it was recorded December 2008. And during that presentation back at that point in time, I believe I appeared on behalf of Matt, of Mr. Kenseth at that time, and basically set forth various sections of the covenants, conditions, and restrictions that were created in 2005. And I'm assuming you have those in your files someplace, but Article 7, restrictions, prohibitions, and conditions, exclude out lots 1, 7, and 8. Now that's changed a little bit because lot 8 came out of the picture. But in the platting process, lots 1, 7, and 8 were reserved or set aside for the potential for residential or multifamily construction. Lot 1, we know what happened there. He built the building, the facility that's there now. And as this lady or gentleman referenced, evidently a few years ago, someone brought through a multifamily request that I wasn't part of at that time. But there again, as set forth in the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, it's allowed. The sole purpose from MRKR's perspective is to sell the parcel. They were approached by an agent, Christopher Hirschleb, and who then contacted Veerbecker to draw up potential plans, and you've got abbreviated plans in your packet. So I'll just turn it over to Neil to make any comments.
Yeah, I'm Neil Pfaff with Veerbecker, civil engineer. We looked at this parcel for Maple Creek Construction, Chris. This property would need to be rezoned to high density. This layout that you see here would meet the density underneath that zoning. It would also meet the parking requirements underneath that zoning. And then what you don't see on this map would be landscaping, such as a landscape berm on the east side. Also, a lighting plan would need to be approved at the time of site plan approval, in addition to landscaping and stormwater management design. At this time, they have not gone into traffic analysis or anything like that. Purely the reason for that is because they're looking at, is this a potential for a rezone or not? And then at that point, then you would go into a more of analysis. In general, this works for a 20-unit apartment underneath the correct zoning. We looked at setbacks, we looked at the density calculations, we looked at the parking calculations. All of those are listed on the map that you have provided.
Okay. All right, gentlemen.
We'll add a little bit. I kind of gave you a timeline. This lot has had a very varied history. So piecing it together over the last couple of months of when everything changed. The smart growth plan was brought up. The original smart growth plan did have this as mixed use, and as Mike said, when it was, Matt's plat was originally done, it was mixed use, but with this as high density residential. The most recent, we did update our comprehensive plan last year. That does have the future land use as neighborhood residential, as well as the land to the east and south of it. The land to the west and north are high intensity residential overlay. I did just hand you today the kind of explanations of the neighborhood residential and high, but again, keeping in mind the comprehensive plan is a planning tool. It is not ordinances, it is not set in law. The decision on the zoning is a policy decision. Plan commission would make a recommendation to the village board one way or another. So it's a planning tool. This lot has had a lot of history, back and forth changing, and like as Mike said, originally it was designated as high, rezoned to low. Kind of in the middle in the new comp plan.
I have a bit of a hard time with it for the very reasons that were brought up. And I am in Woodhaven. I'm up on the hill on Woodhaven Court. And there is a lot of traffic that goes through there. And that's certainly going to add. And then we've got two, I think there are 18 units that are going in. But those are going in west behind the trees there and behind, you know, in the vineyards.
It's 48.
48?
Total, 25.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So that's certainly going to add a lot to the traffic. And we don't have the exit yet, or the other entrance to the vineyards. That's not in place yet. And I just may have a hard never? time with that. Will it ever?
Yeah,
the
that's,
question.
okay.
And, yep, and 1218 DOT has not given any inclination that they're going to approve
That's what
another
I was
exit
given to
there
understand.
anytime soon.
How about that?
The
And is that
village-
out of our control, the,
Yes,
not that
that's-
one, but the 134?
The 134, the village board is looking at, our engineers have submitted plans to the DOT. We're moving forward. That will be before the village board to possibly do next year, the 134 out of the vineyard.
So I think their concerns are very valid. I just,
Okay. All right. Thanks, John.
I have a concern as well, and it has to do with traffic. Now, we're putting in the two 24-unit apartment buildings are going up. He actually wants to put in two more. and we told them no until we get another exit out. So,
Those are going west,
yeah.
kind of
that'll be-
away from everything.
Correct, but the flow of traffic
Right,
is,
it's gonna be-
is still the existing roads. And it was because of that traffic that we told them, no, you can do the 2, but you can't do 4.
Would the additional 2 still be in the vineyard area?
Yeah, it would just be the next
So you were going,
towards
To the west.
Catranos. It would go more towards Catranos.
The farm field behind them at the
Yeah.
end of the winery way.
Adjacent to the walking trail.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
With only one exit.
That's what,
Correct, and that's why
At
that's why
this
we
point.
poo-pooed it for right now.
okay. Jeff?
Well, the only, I took some notes and I heard property values, and I've always been sensitive to that. People move into an area, they think they know the lay of the land, they make the investment, the biggest investment of their lives, and then the rules change. And I have a hard time with that.
All right. Daniel?
My biggest concern is traffic, especially with the one exit. It's just, I can't see more traffic coming through there unless you have a second exit on the west side. If we had 24 more, or 48 more actually, I should say, that's another 45, 50 cars a day, morning, night, maybe 100, yeah. So I just, at this point in time, I don't see that being realistic.
Okay.
So,
Dean?
it sounds like anybody who's bought out in Woodhaven had no idea about the history of this lot. Now, I'm assuming, since it was in the Declaration of Covenants and Restrictions and Conditions, that this lot was supposed to be high density. Was no one actually told that when they bought? Because they should have been.
Up there,
Yeah.
it was my impression that that was going to be medium density to ease into the high density that would be the apartments. So it was my impression 22 years ago that that lot was going to be duplexes and fourplexes, and then move into apartments to buffer the 2 neighborhoods.
I also did inquire about the plan of all the surrounding land, and I was told that that was commercial land for sale. I was not aware of any of this being a possibility.
Okay, we have one more comment, but we don't normally have a,
Quick, I have a copy of the covenants that he is referring to. It mentions nothing about the zoning. It just says the intent is commercial or multifamily, but remember, multifamily can be low residential. A duplex is considered multifamily.
all right, thank you. I had talked at the last board meeting when we had discussed, I think his name was Michael, his project, and I came right out and I said that will be it, because we have to figure out this traffic. There is going to be a safety issue. I worry about accessibility, I worry about emergency services, and with all of this concentration, it's just not the right time, because we haven't figured this out. We don't know if we're ever going to get another access point to Highway 12. We were supposed to, but that may not happen. I am not in favor of this development, but I wasn't it's not because of you folks, although I appreciate it. It's because of where I was at a month ago or 6 weeks ago when we had talked about the last project, and that was it. There was just no more. There's not enough room. I think we're taking a very dangerous position with public safety if we just keep going ahead and pushing in development after development. That's where I'm going to be at. So I appreciate you guys coming here. I don't know, does anybody, do we need a motion on this?
Yes.
So-
Chuck, do you have any comments this year?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I just want to reiterate a few things, kind of mostly about the smart growth plan. This rezone request, it's just not compatible with the smart growth plan, and the one we just amended this a few months ago. And we spoke about this lot with our MSA professional planners and collectively decided it needs to stay neighborhood low-density residential, but with the potential for residential housing and potentially duplexes, like people said. And the reason behind that was to maintain the neighborhood residential character of Drumwood Trail and to support more of a tiered approach to higher density housing as you move to the west. So I think if we were to approve this, we'd be kind of setting a dangerous precedent for developers to be able to disregard the growth plan. And I get it's just a tool, but it is a planning tool that we need to take seriously because we sunk a lot of money into it. And we had trained professionals looking at this, and we had the community voting on it and surveys. So it is the voice of the community as far as I'm concerned. And I share the same concerns with the traffic. Kenseth and Drumlin were experiencing high volume of traffic, and that could be offset with the potential of Vineyard Drive open up to 134. But I'd argue that with the high density lots to the west, as those get developed, and the more vineyard departments as those get built, we'll continue to experience excessive traffic. So that's where I'm at, guys. I share your same sentiments. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
A little follow-up, the comprehensive plan, the neighborhood residential, does clarify housing could be up to 2.5 stories in height with residential densities in most places of 3 to 10 units per net acre. So it could be a little larger. I believe this lot is 1.2, 1.3 acres. So, strictly going by the comprehensive, which again is a planning, it does fall a little short of 20, but it could, for this, fit more than 10, but.
If I could just make a closing comment, and if you take a look at the original Matt's plat, and you talk about a westerly entrance, Outlot 1 is there, and that it was reserved particularly for that purpose. I know the big gorilla in the cage is the DOT, but the lot is there. Lot is available for a westerly exit.
And the new CSM that was just approved does still include that exit in the CSM, but DOT decision.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to recommend to the village board 9 rezone request for parcel 111/0612-013-0533 type 1 MRKR properties. Mike Rumpy, the agent.
Okay.
I'll second.
Who seconded? John? All right. Further discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
McNally,
Yes.
Point of order. Is it yes?
yes.
For the
to
motion?
vote. No.
Yes for the motion.
Yeah. Okay. Millsap,
Yes.
Gronemus,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Franklin.
Yes.
Okay. Carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate you coming by. All righty. We're going to move on to item 6, unfinished business. I don't see anything. All right, we're good to go. Correspondence, number 7. Not looking at anything that we need to read. We did see this letter that was here, but we've already kind of talked about it, so we don't have to worry about that. 8, is there anything that we want to bring up for future consideration with the Planning Commission here?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Anything, guys?
Nope.
Okay, that takes us to item 9.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, Jeff gets the second.
That ain't quick enough.
And we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See ya, Chuck.
Bye.
So the Quick Trip is making a ton of projects. Or when are they thinking about
I
moving?
just got notice today